All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fight Dialogue. My name is Tim. It's good to be back doing a live stream with you guys. I'm very excited for it. It's been a long time. It's been like 4 months at least. Before we get started, let me know that I'm good with the microphone and with the camera and everything. And we'll get to what I wanted to discuss today. And then we'll do some Ask Me Anything. Just give me a thumbs up or give me a heads up in the chat. Let me know everything is good with the audio and the video. So yeah, it's been a while since I did a live chat. It's been a while since I did any other additional content besides, the how good is their grappling, how good is their striking, and even the podcast I've gotten away from doing. And basically what that boils down to is me and Al have had differing schedules for a little bit now, and I have a new job that is very demanding on me physically, mentally, and just energy-wise. So it's been hard to get in my regular content, let alone this extra stuff. Audio is good from Nabash. Thank you, Nabash. So yeah, I got the chance to do it today. And we've got some fights coming up tonight. We have some fights that just recently passed that were pretty awesome. So I'd like to discuss those. And then we can get into whatever else you guys want to talk about. It can be martial arts related, sports related, anything. Anything you want to question me or chat about. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just in it to have some fun today. Okay, so first things first. I did not get the chance to discuss what an awesome fight card UFC 275 was. Been a while since we've had a light heavyweight title fight that was that back and forth, that exciting. I feel bad for Glover Teixeira. I really do love Glover as a fighter. And ultimately, he was this close to taking the belt. But Jiri Prochazka, man, what a rise to the title. Very, very fast. He only had 2 fights in the UFC prior to getting the title shot. And I think we could all see why he got the title shot, right? It's because he's exciting. He's a finisher. And also the state of the light heavyweight division probably had a little bit to do with it as well. John Jones had left and there was kind of a power vacuum that all the contenders were trying to fill simultaneously. And, it's kind of what happens whenever a division has a very dominant champion. You have this mad struggle for the belt to fill that void that dominant champion left. And for a while, it goes back and forth. We saw it with the women's bantamweight division when Rousey lost the belt. First Holly Holm took it from her, and then Miesha Tate took it from her, and then who else? And then Amanda Nunes. And then Amanda Nunes was champion for quite some time. And then we might see the same thing happen again with the women's bantamweight division now that Juliana Pena has taken it back, or taken it for the first time. We might see Amanda Nunes take it back. We might see Juliana face another contender after she beats Nunes for a second time. Who knows? It's an exciting sport, though. But anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. Jiri Prochazka. So, yeah, the state of the division probably had something to do with why he got the title shot so quickly. It's new, fresh blood, and people wanted to see him and how he would do against the very best. He's a former Rising champion. And the fight actually went exactly like I thought it was going to go in terms of their strengths and weaknesses being played out. What I did not expect was for the fight to last as long as it did. It was most people expected it to maybe last 1 or 2 rounds. But I expected Jiri to get the finish at some point after Glover did some grappling. And that is, long story short, what happened. Now, Glover, shooting for that guillotine, that's his bread and butter. He has guillotine finishes on his record from pulling it from a standing position. He's got a very, very tight guillotine. But his exhaustion level mixed with the blood and the sweat and everything else, it was an error. It was an error on his part to go for that. And not only that, but in the 5th round, it appeared that Glover had rocked Jiri with strikes, which I did not put out of the realm of possibilities. Glover's a very good boxer. Yuri's chin is good, but not the best. So I thought it was a possibility that Glover could finish Jiri with strikes. And in the 5th round, when you're arguably up on the scorecards and you hurt the guy, just keep unloading on him. Just keep throwing strikes. That's what I wanted Glover to do in that 5th round. But he did not. He hurt Jiri, and then he went in for the takedown. The takedown failed, and then he shot for a guillotine, and then he ended up on his back, and eventually Jiri got the rear naked choke. Now, I see some questions about Juliana Pena in the chat already, and I'll let the chat continue to fill up with questions while I kind of go over what I wanted to go over. But funny that we should mention her. She won her fight against Amanda Nunes with a rear naked choke with no hooks, and it was more of a neck crank, more of a face crush, because she didn't really have the proper rear naked choke grip, not a figure 4 at all. It was really just palm to palm, and she had no hooks. And Jiri won the fight in almost the same way, but it was a little different. And I don't hear people making fun of Glover the way they did Amanda Nunes in that fight. One, because it lasted a lot longer. It ended up going to the 5th round, and it was a war up to that point. And the other part of that is the grip was different. The grip was different, and that made that made all the difference when it came to that rear naked choke. Jiri did have the figure 4 locked in. He had the arm behind the head. He didn't have the hooks, but it was more legitimate in terms of how the mechanics of the choke. Much more legitimate than Juliana's choke against Amanda Nunes. And it is possible to escape that rear naked choke when the hooks are not in, but it's not easy. I think the reason people got on Amanda Nunes' case was if she chose to defend that choke, she probably would have gotten out. It was really just a question of her energy level, her willpower, and her ability to see what was going on. And I don't know if she did or if it was a combination of the latter, of being tired and whatnot. But yeah, she didn't even try to defend the choke, and she tapped to it. Glover, I don't think, would have gotten out of the choke. Not at that stage in the fight. Maybe if that choke was applied in the 1st round, when he had the energy to address the fact that there was no hooks and therefore means of control. But in the 5th round, when it's locked up like that and you've already spent all your energy and you're both hurt and tired and sweaty and bloody, I wasn't surprised that he tapped. And I give Jiri a lot of props for being able to submit Glover Teixeira. Now, don't get crazy. I don't think Jiri is like a top-notch grappler or anything, and I still don't think that he's a better grappler than Glover, not by a long shot. But he took advantage of a mistake that Glover made. He applied a technique skillfully, and he was rewarded for it with the win. I don't know if a rematch is really what I want to see. Glover is at the point in his career where, he's still an elite level fighter, still championship level, championship material, but he took a lot of damage in that fight. And he's way later in his career, that's true. So it's like, if you're going to take damage in your career, you probably want it to be towards the end, because if it's towards the beginning, then you got a long ways to go. But I don't know. I don't like to see anybody get beat up that bad. And we've seen it before with wars like that. It just takes years and years off your life. not just your career, but your actual life. So I don't know if I want to see a rematch because I'm afraid it will be another war like that. And I don't know if Glover will be successful. And what does he really have to gain? The title again? So what? He can hang on to it for maybe another fight or two and then retire? I just want to see Glover get into those legacy fights, or legends fights, whatever you want to call them, where he's fighting guys of his caliber still. I don't want to see him crush cans, but I just want to see him get into exciting fights. And Jiri, he's got a lot of contenders that could possibly give him trouble, And I think he has a lot of adjustments that he needs to make to his fighting style if he wants to remain the champion. But I don't want to take anything away from him because he definitely deserves that belt at this stage. The way he won and who he beat is it's untouchable. He did a great job. And I'm still going to talk shit about his flying knee. I got a lot of flack about that in the How Good Is Their Striking video. And I will admit, I didn't go back and watch every single fight of Jiri Prochazka's. Otherwise, I would have seen him get some finishes with the flying knee. But I went back about as far as his last 4 or 5 Rizin fights, and every single flying knee he threw was garbage. He didn't land any of them, and half of them got him in serious trouble. And when I say land, he didn't land them cleanly. Obviously, you're, for the most part, aiming for the chin when you throw that flying knee. He had a couple land on the chest. He had a couple land, up here on the shoulder. But he didn't land any flying knees cleanly. And he got taken down as a result from a lot of them. Yes, in his earlier career, he landed flying knees. And that's great. That's something that he has in his arsenal. But they were against lower level guys. Let's be real. And so far, against elite level competition, that flying knee has not worked. Yes, he did land it in the Glover fight. He attempted it 3 or 4 times, landed it once, and I'm pretty sure he got taken down because of it. I'm pretty sure Jiri landed the single leg right after that. So I'm still going to talk shit about his flying knee. I'm sorry. But yeah, great fight. In regards to the Valentina Shevchenko versus Santos fight, I think that Santos won, but I'm not overly surprised that they gave Valentina the win, especially after rewatching it. She caused more damage, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, the headbutts, the headbutts weren't intentional. First of all, they were open stance." I forget who was lefty. Who's lefty? Santos or Valentina? One of them was lefty. One of them was righty. And when you have lefty versus righty and you change level, you're prone to hit each other in the head. And when you throw overhand punches, you're going to oftentimes clash heads. It's just what happens sometimes. But I'm not convinced that that was the sole root cause of the orbital fracture, because I'm pretty sure that's what happened to Santos, is she fractured her orbital bone, which sucks. But if you notice, even early on in the fight, when Santos had Valentina's back and Valentina was throwing those backwards punches, they were all landing in the same spot over and over and over again, her eye. I don't think that's what caused the break, the fracture, but it definitely caused some of the swelling. You could see Santos's eyes swelling up quickly and early. So, and she was landing strikes there too, like when they were in a standing position. And obviously she started to land a lot more in the, 4th and 5th round, when she realized that, oh shit, her eye's swelling up. I better target that side. I really wanted her to throw the switch. So she might have been righty. I wanted her to throw the left high kick because Santos wouldn't have seen it coming. She did throw it once, and it did land a grazing strike. But I thought she should have been setting it up more, because I think we would have seen a a highlight reel knockout like we did against Jessica Ai if she pushed that more. But it was a great fight. I thought Santos was a winner in that fight. You know, she gained a ton of stock and, in my opinion, set her up for a rematch. I would say immediate rematch, but we don't know how long it's going to take for her to recover. So there's that. But yeah, I thought it was a great fight. I thought I had Santos getting the slight edge. I know it was mostly based on control, but honestly, there were a lot of things that were evened up in my book. And me and a lot of the guys on the Discord have discussed this at length, is that the rules have changed. They're focused more on immediate, impactful damage, and basically the overall attempt to finish the fight and how close that attempt was. And yes, Valentina had more effective striking, and she did have that gogoplata attempt that was very close, but Santos had the back, and she was attempting rear naked chokes, and one or two of them, especially the one at the end of the first round, was quite close. So in my opinion, and I can't go through it round by round right now because my memory is not going to do me any favors in that regard, but between the strikes, the submission attempts, both of their attempts to finish the fight were equal for the most part. Maybe you give a slight edge to Valentina in that category, but Santos had the control time way far and above what Valentina had. And I think it exposed a hole in Valentina's game, which is a hole in most counterpunchers' games or counter-strikers' games, is that you are losing right up until the point that you win. And if you don't catch that opportunity or take advantage of that opportunity to win, or if that opportunity never comes to land that counter shot, to land that submission off of your back, you're behind. You're way behind now, and now you have to try to make up for it in the fifth round, you know. Which she did. To her credit, she picked up the pace way more in the later rounds, but she wouldn't have had to if she wasn't sitting there and waiting for that perfect opportunity, because Santos was smart, you know. She wasn't giving her anything in those first couple rounds to really take advantage of. So credit to Talia, or to Tyla, or however you pronounce her name. And yeah, I would like to see a rematch. I would. All right, so let me get through the other stuff that I wanted to get through today before I start answering your questions. I see all of them, though. I promise I will get to all of them in due time. I just want to get through some of the other stuff. So we've got a UFC fight night on tonight, and I do want to discuss that. But before that, PFL. Did anybody watch PFL last night? I thought it was pretty good. At least the first half of it, the prelims were fantastic, and then the main event was pretty damn good as well. Every single light heavyweight fight ended up being a finish, except for the Antonio Carlos Jr. fight, if my memory serves. A lot of first round finishes, and I think Conan Silveria's son was on that card. I think he's a former LFA champion, and he got a nice knockout win. And yeah, lots of knockouts. There was a nice submission in there by Akhmedov, I think the guy's name is. Submitted a Lithuanian guy, put him to sleep. And then the main event was Clay Collard versus Martinez. I forget his first name. And Martinez has been a dark horse of that division. I believe it's lightweight division for years now in the PFL. Very, very good, very underrated. Has in every single fight, win or lose, given the guy problems. And he's fought some of the best in the PFL to this point. And he fought Clay Collard, a guy with UFC experience and high-level experience. You know, we're talking about a guy who fought Max Holloway. He fought Jeremy Stevens. He fought Anthony Pettis. Very, very, very good fighter and striker and grappler. And there seemed to be a little bit of controversy over who won. the fight because Clay Collard did land more strikes and more effective strikes, but Martinez took him down a bunch of times, was attempting submissions, was landing good strikes of his own. So it's hard for me to be the judge of that fight, but it was a fantastic fight nonetheless, and Martinez came out on top. So great card by the PFL. If you guys don't watch the PFL, it's really, really fantastic. Don't listen to anybody's silly opinions. I know Joe Rogan has his opinion about it where he's like, oh, well, it's stupid that there's points and seasons, and just watch them. If you like fights, just watch the PFL. It's a fantastic organization with great fighters. They put on great events, and I've enjoyed every single PFL card that I've ever watched. Okay, so do that. It was on ESPN Plus, if you want to go back and watch it. So this fight night card is looking like a pay-per-view. Honestly, this is one of the best fight night cards on paper that I've seen in a long, long time. And I'm going to break it down for you here. This is the main card, okay? We've got Roman Dolidze versus Kyle Dawkins, okay? We've got, oh wait, maybe this isn't the main card. This is the prelims. Okay, yeah, let's go over the prelims because the prelims are pretty damn good as well. So like I said, Roman Dolidze versus Kyle Dawkins. Awesome middleweight fight. Future contenders, both of those guys. Kyle Dawkins' brother is already a heavyweight contender. Not that that's extremely hard to do, but take it for what it is. Phil Hawes versus Darren Nguyen. Eddie Weinland, my celebrity lookalike, versus Cody Stamann. I don't think I look that much like him, but I guess when my mustache gets longer and the fact that I have no hair, I guess that's where the resemblance comes from. Although I'm trying to grow a little bit of a thing right here to kind of offset the mustache because everybody makes fun of my mustache and I don't want to shave it. So anyway, that's a good bantamweight fight. Why is Eddie Weinland still fighting? I don't know. He has no chin anymore. All respect to him. He's a fantastic competitor, has always been super entertaining to watch. But yeah, I don't know if he should be fighting anymore, especially against a guy like Cody Stamann, who maybe the knockout threat isn't as present with a guy like Stamann because he's more of a wrestler. But still, this is a guy that is on the cusp of being a contender again. I'm pretty sure he was in the top 15 of bantamweight before. So it's a tough fight for Weinland to win, honestly. I see Stamann winning that fight, definitely. Maria Oliveira, I'm not sure who she is, versus Gloria De Paula. Pretty sure I've seen her fight before. Ricardo Ramos versus Danny Chavez. That's a really good featherweight matchup. Court McGee versus Jeremiah Wells. Love that. Love that matchup. I give Court McGee the slight striking advantage for that one, and Jeremiah Wells the slight grappling advantage. I know he comes from Daniel Gracie's camp, if I'm not mistaken. And he showed off some good jiu-jitsu in his last fight, so that should be great. Yasmin Jasudavicius versus Natalia Silva. I've seen both of them fight, but I can't remember for the life of me what their strengths and weaknesses are, so let's move on. Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelly. Fantastic. That's going to be a great kickboxing match. Let's see, who else do we got? Okay, so this is the main card. Julian Marquez versus Gregory Rodriguez. Banger of a middleweight fight. It's probably just going to be an all-out war. I give Rodriguez the slight grappling advantage, and Marquez, I don't even know if I give him the striking advantage, but I would say I give him the power advantage. Damir Ismagulov versus Guram Kataladze. I probably pronounced his name wrong. It sounds Georgian. Those are kind of tricky to pronounce, but yeah, that's a good one. What else we got? Joaquin Buckley versus Albert Dureyev. We've got Tim Means versus Kevin Hollins. This is a welterweight fight. I've got Kevin Hollins for that fight, but that is not going to be easy for Kevin Hollins. I expect a lot of grappling in that fight. A lot of clinch work, a lot of grappling. I want Tim Means to use his elbows. That's where he has the advantage, at least in the striking department. And both guys have very good jiu-jitsu. So I expect some grappling to take place for sure. Donald Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. This is a lightweight fight. And Donald Cerrone, I don't know, man. He didn't look too great cutting weight, but he made it. And Joe Lauzon coming back after a long, long layoff. I can't even remember the last time he fought. Cerrone looks like he's the slight favorite, but that's another one where we could see a great striking match, jiu-jitsu match, or both. And I give Lauzon the slight advantage on the ground, Cerrone the decent advantage on the feet. He's going to be throwing a lot of kicks, and that's going to be hard for Lauzon to deal with. I'm going to go with Cerrone in that fight. And then, of course, the main event, Kalvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett. You've got the technical boxer with a fantastic chin versus the power punching, just fucking freight train of Josh Emmett. And I'm going to go with Kalvin Kattar. Because not that Josh Emmett is untechnical, but he's definitely the least technical out of the two. He does have the wrestling that he can utilize, although I don't think he will, but he is a good wrestler. And Kalvin Kattar just has that chin, man. I don't see Emmett putting him away. If he does, I would be absolutely astonished if Emmett was able to knock him out. And that's not even a knock on Emmett, because he's got fantastic power, but Kattar's just unbelievable chin. And I think he's going to piece him up. I got Kalvin Kattar by unanimous decision. I even see some 10-8 rounds in there, to be honest. I just see his strike count racking up against Emmett. So yeah, that's a fantastic card. That's as good as it's going to get as far as a fight night goes, people. So I really actually wanted to do a fight companion for that, but the wife and kids are out eating lunch right now. I think my son went and got his hair cut or something, and they're going and doing that. So I had the house to myself, so that's what I'm doing right now, the live chat. But they're going to be home later, and the little guy, he makes a lot of noise, and I'm kind of in like an open shared space here. I can't really tell everybody to be quiet for like 4 hours. So Next time. I've been looking to do a fight companion for a while now, and that would have been one of the best times to do it, but next time. So it's time to get to some of your guys' questions. I got through everything that I wanted to get through. I've got about another 30 minutes of chatting with you guys that I can do. So let's do it. Let's get through it. Bring on the questions. All right. Random question from Guy. I do not know how to pronounce your name. I apologize. That's a lot of jumbled up letters that I cannot read. But let me answer your question. Do you think Juliana Pena can win the rematch? No. Honestly, I don't. I do not see her winning the rematch. I see Amanda Nunes making the appropriate adjustments and taking the win. Now, how she's going to win, I can't say. I honestly think that Juliana Pena will put up a great fight. I think she's going to expect Nunes to make adjustments, and Pena's going to make some adjustments. And I'm going to share with you the video that I made a while ago. It's available to channel members and patrons right now. I made a How Good Was This Finish for Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes, where I talk about that finish and that fight at length. It's about a 10-minute video. And I'll share it with you guys eventually, and you'll see that I talk about that finish quite a lot, obviously. But what I also talk about is how Juliana, she had to make a huge adjustment midway through that fight because her original game plan of grappling just did not work out, at least not in the way that she was trying to make it work. And she basically just had to say fuck it and just get after it with her striking and just and tire Amanda Nunes out. And that's basically what happened. So I think Juliana knows that she kind of rolled the dice in that fight and she came out on top. But if she wants to win the second fight, she's going to have to make major adjustments to her strength. Because her strength is what failed her in that fight. Her strength was her grappling. And yes, of course, she did technically win the fight using grappling, but she won because of the pace that she was setting and her heart and her jab, basically, is what was tearing Amanda Nunes apart. And I don't see that working again. I really don't. So she's going to have to make adjustments to her strength in order to utilize it better in that rematch. And I don't know. She's going to have to make major adjustments, which is the issue, which is why I don't see her winning that second fight. The reality filter. Glover had a rough weight cut. Otherwise, I think he would have won the fight, and Glover's MMA striking is so damn good. The thing that amazes me the most about Glover Teixeira is his pressure and his grapple boxing, his ground and pound. It is superb. I don't know how to explain to you guys, and this is what gets me about the rules of MMA. I understand the way the rules of MMA are right now, and that impact and the will to finish a fight is weighted higher than control time. I get it. But maybe it shouldn't be that way. At least not to the extent that it is right now. I think control time has its place and should get more points than it does now. I'm not saying it should get the most points. Not at all. Submission attempts and effective striking and all that should still stay on top, but control time is almost discounted entirely the way the rules are right now. And I don't think that should be. Luke Thomas talks about it a lot too. He's of the same mind as me. But the main reason I am of that mind is because control time can break a person. It can absolutely break a person. And until you have a heavyweight that knows how to distribute their body weight on top of you, you'll never know what I'm talking about, because it is absolutely grueling, okay? I train with many heavyweights at my gym. Some of them have 200, 300-pound weight advantages on me, and they know how to distribute their weight. They know how to focus their weight, okay? It sucks to have a heavyweight lay on top of you, but it's torture to have a heavyweight focus that weight into one spot on top of you, okay? There's been times where I've had guys on me and I cannot even expand my lungs, expand my diaphragm to breathe, let alone actively defend myself. A big guy or a strong guy that knows how to focus their weight is terrifying. There is such a thing as tapping the pressure, okay? And to get back to your question or your statement, Glover has that. He has that ability to focus his weight and just make the guy on bottom miserable. And then on top of that, his striking from the top position is vicious, absolutely vicious. I was so tempted to give him the highest score for ground and pound. But the reason I did it is because at the end of the day, Glover's always looking to advance position. He's not content to just lay in half guard or lay in side control and try to hit you from there. He will do it for a time, but then he's going to eventually look to get the mount, look to get the back, look to get the submission. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in those transitions, he has to take his weight off of a guy, or at least redistribute his weight. And that's when they end up escaping. And you have to have control of the guy, like, fully, if you want to get a perfect score, at least the way I judge in my little videos. But yeah, Glover, maybe he would have done better if he had an easier weight cut. But still, fantastic fighter. Lucas Acevedo, what is up, man? Thank you for supporting the channel, as always. How are you? I'm great, thank you. Who are the most violent fighters in every weight class, in your opinion? All right, let's go down the list here. Let's go down the list, and I'll make it quick. Don't worry. I'll get to everybody else's questions here. All right, let's just go off the rankings here. So we've got flyweight. I would say either Brandon Moreno or Brandon Royval. That Brandon Royval, man, he is always trying to just murder you with everything he can. And he doesn't win all of his fights, but, man, that guy is always looking for the finish. Bantamweight. Honestly, probably Mr. Peter Yan, whether it's from the standing position to the ground position. Very, very violent. Featherweight. I'm going to go with, man, who's the most violent person at featherweight? That's difficult. Probably the champ, Alexander Volkanovski, man. That fight against, his last two fights against Chan Sung Jung, Korean Zombie, and Brian Ortega, I felt bad. I felt bad for them. We all saw Brian Ortega get smashed from standing position and in the grounded position. Yes, he had his moments in that fight, but just absolutely got torn up. And then Chan Sung Jung, standing TKO for a reason. Zombie's too, it's in his nickname. He's too tough for his own good, and that caused him to take more damage than was necessary, and it showed the violence of Volkanovski's game. Lightweight. Probably Justin Gaethje or Michael Chandler. Those guys are right up there with the most violent people in the sport, let alone the division. And it's very fitting that they fought each other and ended up having the fight of the fucking century that they did. But that's another division with a bunch of murderers. Welterweight. Probably Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev. Or Chimaev, however you pronounce it. He's definitely the most violent dude in that division. Middleweight. That's a tough one. Probably, I would say either Whitaker or Adesanya. Either one of those guys. Super, super violent. Light heavyweight. Got to go with the champ, Jiri Prochazka. That man is a fucking murderer. The Bohemian Bomber, as I've become fond of calling him. Although I learned today that he's actually not from Bohemia. Bohemia is a region in the Czech Republic that is in the southeast, I believe. And Prochazka's from the southwest. So I got that wrong a little bit. But I still think that nickname is awesome enough to ignore that. Bohemian Bomber. Heavyweight. Is that even a question? Francis Ngannou, man. Or Derek Lewis. One of those two. Women's strawweight. I'm gonna say Weili Zhang. And before that, it was between her and Joanna. Joanna's pretty fucking violent too. But now that Joanna's retired, and especially the fact that Weili has defeated her via knockout, I'm going to say Weili Zhang for sure. Super violent. Guys, you're sleeping on her ground and pound. You are sleeping on her ground and pound. I spoke about it in her How Good Is Her Grappling video, which got horrible views, but whatever. You guys are all sexist. No, I'm just kidding. But I spoke about it in that video. It's vicious. It's absolutely vicious. If you watch her pre-UFC fights, she was murdering people with her ground and pound. When she got to the UFC, she was throwing up nasty elbows from the bottom, cutting girls open. In her rematch against Rose Namajunas, that is what almost won her the fight. She got Rose to the ground, got on top of her, and was landing big, big shots. And that's kind of a weakness in Rose's game, is her ground and pound defense. And Zhang was just getting her with it. And then in this fight with Joanna, when she got Joanna to the ground, I believe it was in the first round, she was landing huge shots. I'm pretty sure the fight almost got ended in that first round. Do not sleep on her ground game. She's obviously a very talented striker from a standing position, but that is a skill that is not seen too often in the women's divisions. The only person that even comes close or exceeds her ability to strike on the ground is probably in that division. I don't even know. I don't even know if there's one in that division. She probably has the best ground and pound in the division. In the other divisions, you got Tatiana Suarez, but yeah, don't sleep on her violence on the ground. And then who else are we going over here? Women's flyweight. I'm gonna go with the champ, Valentina. Super violent. Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of finishes, but she's nasty. She's nasty. She throws her strikes with ill intent. For women's bantamweight, got to go with Amanda Nunes for both bantamweight and featherweight, because win or lose, she's gonna connect with those bombs, and she's a tough customer. That was fun. All right, let's get to the other questions here. Eric Gould, who do you have winning between Valentina and Talia Santos? I assume you mean in their rematch, which will hopefully someday happen. I have Taila Santos winning, because I see her taking advantage of those advantageous positions more. I see her focus being on that. Okay, I got this girl to the ground. Okay, I'm controlling her. Now let's do more with it than I did in the first fight. And honestly, I don't think Valentina is going to have an answer for it. I think the adjustments that Valentina is going to make is she's going to push the pace more in the beginning rounds. Okay, but Valentina she's still going to go for those head and arm throws. Okay, she's still going to get reversed. She's still going to end up on her back in that fight. I promise you she will. Okay, and if she doesn't finish her from a standing position, Talia will take advantage of those grappling opportunities, and in my opinion, I think she will do more with them in the second time around. Nabash says Glover and Yuri both have great cardio for 205ers. Yeah, no doubt. They were definitely both tired by that fifth round, and even fourth round. They were starting to look pretty gassed. But yeah, especially credit to Glover. The guy is fucking 43. Amazing cardio. Guys, really quick, we are so close to 20,000 subscribers. If you are new to the channel and you're just popping in, please hit that subscribe button. I would like to see that nice round number of 20,000. It would make me feel good about myself. And like the video. Got 12 people viewing, but only 9 likes. That means 3 of you hate me. Next question. The reality filter. Santos does deserve a rematch. I agree. She does deserve a rematch, but it all depends on her health, Random. Thoughts on Sandhagen versus Yadong and Cheeto versus Cruz. Song Yadong. Sandhagen should win that fight. Should definitely win that fight. Song Yadong is good. He's got knockout power. He is technical, but he tends to win most of his fights by the skin of his teeth, And Sandhagen is going to be looking for the finish the whole time. He's not a point fighter, not in the least. So I see Corey Sandhagen either finishing that fight, possibly with his grappling, or winning unanimous decision. I think Song Yadong's chin is too good to get finished with strikes, but he's definitely, in my opinion, going to get pieced up by Sandhagen. Nabash says Valentina is lefty. I knew one of them was lefty. They were in that open stance so often during that fight. Although I think Valentina has the ability to switch stance. I can't remember. It was a while since I did her analysis. Lucas Acevedo, who is the dark horse of every division? Oh, man. I'm not going to go through every single one, but that's only because every division does not have a dark horse. Or at least it has not become apparent that that is the dark horse. But let's see. I think Brandon Royval is not only the most violent dude at flyweight, but also a dark horse of that division. Bantamweight, I don't really think has a dark horse. I think everybody's pretty much where they should be in the rankings. Featherweight, I'm getting through this pretty quick. Maybe I will do all the divisions. Featherweight, I'm gonna say Bryce Mitchell might be a dark horse in that division. Having defeated Edson Barbosa the way he did, he showed off some pretty good striking, and we know he has great grappling. Definitely a dark horse of featherweight, right? Yeah, featherweight. Lightweight. Who's the lightweight dark horse? I don't know. This might be a hot take, but Rafael Fiziev? No. Arman Tsarukyan, for sure, a dark horse of that division. Ranked number 11 right now. And the reason I was going to say Fiziev is because I definitely see him as top contender potential, but that's kind of almost well known at this point. We all know how good of a striker he is. Fucking scary guy. Not sure how good his grappling is, honestly. But Arman Tsarukyan, fantastic grappling. Gave Islam Makhachev a run for his money. And just a really good fighter. Welterweight. Belal, the King, Muhammad, our Lord and Savior, Belal Muhammad. If you know, you know. Middleweight. For the longest time, I thought Jack Hermanson was the dark horse of that division. And he's ranked number 7. He could always jump up there at some point. But we've seen his weaknesses. And given that now, I don't know if there is a dark horse of middleweight. Light heavyweight. Man, that's all gotten jumbled up recently, hasn't it? If there is a dark horse of light heavyweight, I think it would be Jamal Hill. Even I have not given that guy enough respect lately, and he's probably more deserving of it. He had that one issue with Paul Craig, but I don't think Paul Craig is worthy of dark horse because he's got too many weaknesses and only one true strength. And he's a little bit older too. Jamal Hill, we saw that he needs to work on his submission defense a bit, but beyond that, I think he's up there. Heavyweight. Who is the dark horse of heavyweight? If heavyweight has a dark horse, I think it would be Chris Daukaus. I think not that his loss against Derek Lewis was a fluke, but it's Derek Lewis. Did he lose after that? Who did he fight after that? Did he fight Tom Aspinall? I think Chris Daukaus is a future dark horse. Not yet, but a future dark horse. Strawweight. Yan Xiaonan is pretty damn good, man. She's working her way up the ranks. Flyweight, women's flyweight. I don't think that one really has a dark horse. Tyler Santos was a dark horse, as we found out. Women's bantamweight. Damn. I don't know if this one has a dark horse either. Yeah, I don't think they have a dark horse. And who the fuck even knows who's in women's featherweight anymore? Nobody knows. I don't know. Moving on. Abu Habibi. Have you watched videos by Mixed Martial Academic? He makes some great documentary style videos. Yes, I have. Very interesting videos. Good channel. Check them out. Random. Who do you think Sean Brady should fight next? Sean Brady, my boy. I got to make a trip down to Philly to train with him. I'm about 2 hours north of Philadelphia. I've trained with Daniel Gracie before. I've never trained at his gym, though. But I would love to go down there and train with his guys especially Sean Brady. What is welterweight? Is that where Sean Brady's at? Where the fuck is Sean Brady at? Guys, help me out. What division is Sean Brady in? Is Sean Brady not a contender yet? I'm pretty sure he was a welterweight. Let me look him up. Sean Brady, MMA. He is a welterweight. And he's not ranked yet. Wow. Oh, he is ranked. I just missed him because I'm fucking blind. I'm not wearing my glasses. Sorry. Who did he just fight? All right. Fuck it. Wonder Boy. Boom. Sean Brady versus Wonder Boy. Make it happen. Oof. It's got the chills from that one, man. I'd love to see that. All right. Next question. Who do you think... Oh, wait. I already got that one. How would a potential Rose versus Marina fight go? Marina. Marina Rodriguez. I think Rose takes that one. I think Rose... Rose has really fantastic grappling, and she just hasn't utilized it as much lately. She's really utilized her striking more. But if she really wanted to, I think she could put on a good grappling match and win with that against Marina. Do you think now that Nunes lost and Shevchenko almost lost, a trilogy between them would still make sense? I feel the only reason people wanted to see it is because both seemed invincible. Yes, I think you're on the right track there. Honestly, I'm of the minority that didn't really want to see the trilogy because Amanda's so much bigger than Shevchenko. I think Shevchenko is the better fighter, but I don't see her winning. Not that she can't win, but if these ladies fought 10 times, Shevchenko would maybe win 2 of them, because the skill, even though I think Shevchenko has the edge, the skill is comparable, but the size is not. Amanda is a much bigger girl than Shevchenko, and she takes advantage of those as she should when she fought her in both fights. Although it was close, the second fight was close. So I'm not saying there shouldn't be a rematch. It's just me, I'm not that interested in seeing it because, I feel like I have a pretty good read on where those ladies are at in terms of their skill and abilities against each other. From random thoughts on Pahera versus Strickland matchup. Pahera should win that fight, but Strickland is a smart guy. He knows when to use his grappling, for the most part. He does like to stand and bang, but he's a good grappler as well, and he should use his grappling in that fight, and if he does, he should win. He should win that fight if he uses his grappling. But he's got to walk through a buzzsaw to make that happen. I was surprised how tall Tim Means is. I expected Holland to tower over him, but they look almost the same size. Yeah, Tim Means, he's not the best physical specimen, especially at welterweight. He's kind of built like me, honestly. Very, very skinny, very tall, very lanky, not a ton of muscle mass, and that's where that plays a factor, is you're able to, grow in terms of height and reach in the division. Not grow, but you know what I mean. You can be the taller guy in the division because you're not hampered by the actual weight of your body. And Kevin Hollins has fought at middleweight, so he's a big welterweight as well and very tall for that division. So yeah, those guys are pretty tall. After seeing Weili's improvements, do you think she's going to be hard to beat even for Rose? Yeah, I do think that Weili has the ability to beat Rose. I really do. And I definitely think she has the ability to beat Carla Esparza. No offense to Esparza, but Esparza is very predictable. Not that that makes it easy to beat her, but it does lay out to bear what her weaknesses are going to be and what she's going to be looking to do. And if you have a fighter that has the ability to negate that, it makes me pretty confident in who I think would win in that matchup. Lucas Sasavedo says, how do you rate Mokaev? Mokaev? Do you believe he can become a champion? Why is that name not ringing a bell? Let's look him up. Mohammed Mokaev. Oh, is this the guy, the young kid from Britain? He fights out of Great Britain, right? He's got the 6-0 record. He looked pretty damn good in all his fights and in all the media that I've seen him in. He seems focused. His amateur fights, he did very well. I think he's a good fighter. As far as him becoming a champion, way too early to say. Way too early. How far would Sacarabba go if he started his career now? Possible contender, but it's not a fair comparison. It's not a fair comparison because Sacarabba focused on things that the reason Sacarabba was as successful as he was is because he had a very developed part of his game in a time when the grappling was not as developed in MMA. Does that make sense? His grappling was developed, everybody else's was not, except for the Gracies. And he proved that he could even beat them. That's why Sacarabba was as successful as he was. He could strike, okay? It's not that he was a complete idiot when it came to striking, but his striking skills compared to nowadays, I mean, even back then, like we all knew he wasn't the best striker. Not anywhere close to being the best striker. In fact, if all he could do was strike, he would lose every fight because most of the dudes he fought were better strikers than him. But they didn't have the grappling. Now, more strikers today have better takedown defense, better submission defense, better all that stuff when it comes to grappling. And that strength of Sacarabba is now basically taken away. So, but then again, Sacarabba is tough. He's got so much heart and he's smart. So if we're asking, like, if Sacarabba started learning how to fight in today's day and then became a fighter and started doing his thing, could he be highly ranked? Yeah, definitely. Just based on his character and his work ethic and all that stuff. But if you're asking, if we took a copy and paste version of Sacarabba in his prime and plopped him into the middle of the octagon against the fighters today, I don't think he would do that well. But again, unfair to Sacarabba to make that comparison. I.E. Koi says, geographically correct. Yuri is the Moravian bomber. And that is in reference to what I was talking about before, how Yuri's nickname should be the Bohemian bomber, but Bohemia is a different region of Czechia. So he's saying he's from Morava. So yeah. And thanks, man. I appreciate you watching the stream. Eric Gould says, you forgetting about Jessica Andrade in the women's divisions. I mean, Jessica Andrade is always there, man, but I think Jessica Andrade is another one where people have figured her out. They know what to watch out for, and they know what the formula is to beat her. And I'm never counting her out, but I don't know. When it comes to like the top three in the women's divisions, like I don't know. She doesn't do it for me anymore. She's still top 10, maybe even top 5, but I don't even know what she's actually ranked right now, but whatever it is, like in my opinion, I think she's maybe number 7, depending on what division, because she likes to hop around. But Francisco Genovese, good to see you again, my friend. Long time no see. You should do AMA more often. Yeah, I wish I could, man. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, my new job is a lot more demanding in terms of my time and my energy. And it's hard. It's been hard for me to even do the regular content that I'm more well known for, let alone the Ask Me Anythings. But I appreciate you watching. Reggie Tarver, Cowboy fight off. Shake my head. Don't say that, Reggie. Are you serious? Are you serious? Versus Lauzon. Did that get canceled again? Please don't tell me it did. Joe Lauzon unable to make ceremonial weigh-ins. Aloha pauses, dress my hound and all. Sorry. Unable to make ceremonial weigh-ins due to cramps, but the fight is still on. That was 19 hours ago. I'm just going to hope and pray that the fight's still on. I'll be really sad if it's not. Francisco Genovese, technical question for you. Single leg takedown. Head on the inside or head on the outside? I think it is an experience factor. Beginners should learn head on the outside first, then adjust accordingly. The single leg takedown is my favorite technique in wrestling, in terms of takedowns at least, because it is such a versatile technique. There's so many ways to do it, so many different takedowns you can get off of it. You tend to see the head on the outside single a lot more in MMA, and I don't understand why, because the guillotine is such an issue with the head on the outside single. It's such an issue. And maybe the guillotine skills aren't as good as what they used to be in MMA. I don't know. I was talking to somebody about this the other day in the comments section of one of my videos. And they were saying, like, why don't you see guillotines as much anymore? And that's when it dawned on me. It's like, you're right. You don't see as many. You still see them, obviously. They're still prevalent in MMA, but you used to see them way, way more. And the only thing I can think of why that would be is that Team Alpha Male isn't as dominant as it used to be. And that's the only thing I could think of. That's probably not it, but it could be a small factor in why that is. Team Alpha Male, well known for their guillotines, would get them in almost every single fight. And Team Alpha Male is still a thing, but it's not nearly as dominant as they used to be back in the day. But yeah, I like the single leg with head on the inside better. There is a way to like push the head and then still get a hold of the neck, but then you got to get your leg free in order to get it around, unless you pull to half guard. Then you're going for a guillotine from half guard, which doesn't work as well. So it is harder to get the guillotine from half guard, way harder. So I like the head on the inside single. I've gotten head on the outside singles, but if my head's on the outside, I end up just picking my head up. I just pick my head up, and then I'll go for like a foot sweep. You know, like a Muay Thai foot sweep where you catch somebody's kick, and then you basically just kick the other leg out. That's what I'd be going for. I really don't like the head on the outside single all that much. I've gotten it before, but Same person says, I remember you said you trained Muay Thai. What would you advise to do for faster kicks? Not more powerful, just faster and more explosive. Well, I'm definitely not an authority on Muay Thai. Yes, I have trained it before. I'm way better at grappling than I am striking. But I would say calf kicks. Calf kicks can be thrown faster than like the upper thigh kicks. You know what I mean? It's more of a distance thing, but the less distance you have to cover, the faster you're going to get that kick off. A calf kick, a low calf kick, to be more specific, is a much lower risk technique. It's very hard to catch it. It's a lot faster, so it's hard to check it. And and we're starting to see it work more and more and more in MMA. And it works better for MMA because there's more guys with sideways stances. Guys with bladed stances are much more vulnerable to it. It works in Muay Thai, but Muay Thai, you have a much more squared stance and you're lighter on the front leg. So, although you won't get punished as badly for throwing a low calf kick, because like I said, it's still fast and you can still hit it from a farther distance and all that good stuff, but it's less successful in Muay Thai. But in terms of like actual quickness, actual agility, you just got to make it snappier rather than turning into it. You know, you can still throw a fast kick and turn into it, but those snappier karate style-esque kicks, you know, they're gonna be what you want to drill to get like an actually faster kick, like in terms of like your speed. Shavkat is dark horse of welterweight, not Bilal. You shut your dirty mouth. How dare you speak ill of the king? Abu Habibi, do you think Sandhagen could be the champ? Yes, I do. Maybe not soon, but I think he's young enough and talented enough that eventually, if he keeps doing what he's doing, I think he will be champ someday. Got a little bit more time left for these questions. I apologize. I thought I was going to get to all of them. But I'm going to check to see where my wife is right now, because as soon as she gets home, pandemonium. All right, we still got time. I'll get to as many questions as I can here. Manan Ferrot is the dark horse of women's flyweight. Is that tall French lady? French blonde lady, I think she is. She's pretty good. I don't know how good she is at grappling, though. She seemed more of like a kickboxer. Francesco Genovese, be yourself. A grappling BJJ athlete. Oh, being a BJJ athlete, talking about me. Do you do or have you ever done neck strengthening training? What do you think about it? I fucking wish I did, man. I wish I did it a long time ago. Because as you can tell, I got this long ass fucking lanky neck. And guess what? People love to grab it and strangle it. And it's been an actual pain in my neck throughout my entire martial arts journey. I've hurt it pretty severely on more than one occasion, and it's still fucked up to this day. But with neck strength training, yes, you can make it so that it's not only less susceptible to injury, but can be used and weaponized. Wrestling, you use your neck so much in wrestling, and I wish I knew back in the day, because now that I've gotten a little bit better at wrestling and I'm doing certain techniques, I'm like, man, I wish my neck was stronger. You know, we were talking about single legs before. Your neck is super important in the single leg, not just defending the guillotine off of it, but also using it to steer your opponent down to the ground while you're running the pipe. So yeah. Now, do I do it? No, because I'm lazy. Nabash says, it's so comical how Paul Craig beats ranked fighters beats ranked fighter after ranked fighter with submissions from the guard. And I love Paul Craig. I fucking love that guy. Scotland and jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm sold. But it just goes to show how low the jiu-jitsu skill is in most MMA, especially the heavier weight classes, especially. And Paul Craig, he's got excellent jiu-jitsu. Is it the best jiu-jitsu? No. No. Is it the best jiu-jitsu in the light heavyweight division currently? No. No, it's not. But he's got a nasty triangle. Is he a one-trick pony? No. He can do other stuff, but he gets put in that situation a lot, which is his fault. He gets put in that situation where he's on his back, he's getting beat up, and throwing those big strikes is great. And I love to see ground and pound like that. But when you're throwing these straight punch bombs on the ground with little regard to what the guy on the bottom is doing, other than just how are you going to get around and through their block, it leads to triangle and armbar situations. And Paul Craig is very good with them, and he takes advantage of them. I honestly don't think he should be as ranked as highly as he is, but he keeps getting these submissions because these guys aren't respecting his strength. And that is what it comes down to. And it hurts me to say that because, like I said, I love Paul Craig, but these guys are playing right into exactly what he needs to win. Exactly what he needs. And I can't understand for the life of me why these guys are even bothering going to the ground with him. Just stand him up and beat the shit out of him. The guy does not he doesn't not get hit. Like he fucking, he moves his head like into range for you to hit him. I don't understand it. Like I said, I love Paul Craig. It hurts me to say that, but I speak the truth, people. I speak the truth. I think Sean Brady would easily walk through Wonderboy at this point. Maybe. But I do want to see Sean Brady against like a very highly skilled technical striker. I don't think we've seen that yet. We've seen him against some okay strikers. His win against Jake Matthews aged very well, especially given Jake Matthews' performance last weekend. But I really want to see him fight an elite striker because we've seen that his grappling is elite. We've seen it. We're talking about a guy that technically beat Craig Jones in a grappling-only match. One of the best grapplers in the world, arguably the best, next to Gordon Ryan. And he technically beat him. Now, if you go back and watch the match, it's like, okay. Like, he didn't submit him, and he kind of just controlled him a little bit. But still, impressive, especially for a guy that doesn't train exclusively in jiu-jitsu or grappling. But yeah, I want to see him against a striker, a good striker. Hashtag land flocks or land blocks or flocks. How the fuck? FBX. Do you think Smith is kind of small for light heavyweight, but too big to cut weight down as well? He used to fight at middleweight, but yeah, it kind of killed him to make that weight. So yeah, is he a little bit on the small side? Maybe a little bit, but he's still tall. He's still tall as shit. I think he's 6'3", 6'4". Like he's not a tiny light heavyweight. I've seen some tiny light heavyweights before, you know? I think he's in the right weight class right now. Francesco Genovese says, thoughts on Chimaev versus Covington? That seems like the next title eliminator. The winner of it fighting the winner of Usman versus Edwards 2. Yeah, the fight does make sense. And I see that fight being pretty much like the Gilbert Burns fight, where it's mostly a stand-up fight because the wrestling is going to cancel a little bit out. Although I am very excited to see if Covington decides to use his wrestling, how's it going to go? Because I do think that Chimaev has the ability to take Covington down at least briefly. I don't think he has the ability to keep him there. Covington's too good at getting back up to his feet. And his counter wrestling is just as good as his offensive wrestling. So I don't think if he gets to the ground, he's going to stay there. But what of the opposite? I don't think we've seen anybody attempt to take Chimaev down, at least not in the UFC. I'm very, very interested to see what Chimaev's defense looks like. Because he said it himself. When he was on top of Gilbert Burns, he did not like the looks that he was giving him in terms of submission offense. He got out of there. He got out of there. He chose to stand up. So I think that says something about his submission defense. And of course, he didn't get threatened exactly, at least not in the literal sense. But he felt like psychologically threatened by Gilbert's grappling. And Covington is on the opposite ends of the grappling spectrum of wrestling and control. So if Covington gets him to the ground, what's that going to look like? Is Chimaev going to try to submit him off his back? Is he going to try to get back up? Is he going to try to reverse him? I really, really want to see what that part of his game looks like, because that's the only thing holding me back from making a Khamzat Chimaev how good is their grappling video. Couple more questions, guys. These are really good ones. I really appreciate you joining me on the chat here. And like I said, we're very, very close to 20,000 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Much appreciation. Let's see. Do you think the worst young fighter in the UFC roster today would beat the best non-champion fighters of the same division 20 years ago? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And you can say that about any sport, really. I mean, look at hockey. You know, you have Wayne Gretzky, who, let's face it, his record is not going to get beaten in terms of points, in terms of all-time goals, at least not anytime soon. But that's because the sport has changed. The sport has changed dramatically to the point where it's, I don't want to say it's impossible to do what he did, but it would be exceedingly difficult. They would have to go above and beyond even what he did. And it's kind of a similar situation for MMA. The sport has changed so drastically, it's not a fair comparison. Kind of like what I was talking about before with Sacarabba. George Smoke. Do you think Yuri's chin may be impacted by the last fight? Glover was dropping bombs in round 5. 100%. And I got flack for saying his chin wasn't as good. Like, I still gave him a decent score. What did I give him? Like an 8.25? Like, he still has a good chin. Every time he gets rocked, he recovers very quickly. He showed that in the Volkan Oezdemir fight. He showed that in the Dominic Reyes fight. And now he showed it in the Glover Teixeira fight. Although Glover made a technical error of trying to grapple with him after he hurt him. But still, his recovery is great, but he does get rocked somewhat frequently. And he has been knocked out devastatingly before. And I got flack in my video about him for saying that, like, the King Mo loss doesn't look the best. Because King Mo was a little smaller, a little bit towards the end of his career. And he knocked him out clean. One punch KO. And yes, I know Jiri Prochazka had a fight before that. He fought, what the fuck's the guy's name? The guy, the Bellator champ. And that fight went about 10 minutes. This was a tournament, you know, Pride-style tournament. And Jiri had I don't want to say it was a grueling fight, but, you know, he had to exert a bit of energy in that fight. But it's not like he was getting pieced up in the first fight of that night, you know. So it's not like his chin was compromised going into the fight with King Mo. And King Mo had a fight before that too. So you could argue that, well, you know, Mo's energy levels were down, so that shot wasn't as powerful as it could have been. Or, you know, you can make up whatever silly argument you want to. But the fact is, Yuri's chin is not the strongest part of his game. And he just went through a grueling war with a powerful puncher. So yeah, I think he should definitely take some time off before he defends his title again. Because that's going to be a liability. Dragos Toma says, are you going to make a how good is John Jones's striking? Those breakdowns are amazing. Thank you, my friend. I would definitely love to make a John Jones striking video, but I tend to base it around when they're going to have fights, at least like within a couple of months. And so far, John Jones and everything about him, the news has been dormant. He was supposed to go to heavyweight. This is supposed to be a while ago, and so far, crickets. Haven't heard anything about it. When he is going to make a return, if he makes a return, I will definitely make a How Good is John Jones striking video. But until then, I'll probably put it on the back burner for now, especially since there's a lot of other projects I want to get to. The next one, spoiler alert, is going to be how good is Brian Ortega's grappling, because he's fighting Yair Rodriguez. And another spoiler alert, is not going to be the best scorer, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to be the best score overall. He's obviously going to get some very high scores in certain categories, but he's also going to get some low scores in some other ones. And I just need to mentally prepare you guys, because I know that the Ortega fans are going to get mad at me for some of it, but I gotta call it as I see it. Have you ever heard of body hardening training? If so, do you think it could be useful if done properly and safely to add strength and conditioning work? I'm not familiar with the training that you're talking about, body hardening training. It sounds like you're talking about like shin conditioning or like hand conditioning, knuckle conditioning. If that's what you're talking about, I think there is some merit to it, certainly, because it sucks to kick someone and it hurt you more than it does them, even when they didn't even check the kick. That's happened to me before, because my shins they're probably more conditioned than the average Joe, but definitely not anywhere near where they should be if I wanted to get into like a Muay Thai fight or something. If that's what you're talking about, then yeah, I think there's definitely some merit to it. But other than that, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Is Max getting his belt back? That is from Yusuf. Yeah, I thought he won his second fight with Volkanovski. I think he has it in him to win the rubber match. I do. And then a fourth fight is on the table. How would Adesanya versus Pahera look? Well, we saw how the kickboxing match went, and yes, that was a while ago, but still, man, Pahera is a killer. He's a killer and might be Adesanya's kryptonite. That left hook is just fucking fantastic. But Adesanya has learned a lot. He's got some tricks up his sleeve, and this is an MMA fight now. Adesanya has some pretty decent grappling, too. I don't think he's going to look to take Pahera down, but maybe maybe he gets rocked against Pahera and then goes for a submission. He showed off some very good submission attempts in his Kelvin Gastelum fight. And Kelvin Gastelum is a better grappler than Pahera. So, never know. Oh, 2 more questions. Do you think Adesanya should try his luck at light heavyweight again for a firework striking clash against Jiri Prochazka? As much as I would love to see that, no, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he ventured out into those waters and didn't like what he got caught with. So, and Yuri's big, man. He's big and powerful. If I was Adesanya, I would not be doing that. If he's smart, he won't do that. Not that he couldn't beat Jiri, but still, it's too much of a risk. Covington Burns, how do you see it playing out? I believe Burns wins it with his striking. That's from Ricky. And I don't know if is that fight announced? Is it Covington versus Chimaev or Covington versus Burns, or do we not know yet? But either way, Burns could win with his striking. Yeah. Covington has some good submission defense, but I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibilities for Burns to win via submission either. So the way I see that fight going, either Covington gets a unanimous decision via control time, even though that's not weighted as heavily anymore, but that's besides the point. He does work on the ground. He's not just a lay and pray guy. So you know what I mean. He could win with his wrestling. Or Burns gets the finish, either by submission or TKO. I could see either one happening. Oh, Rainer de Ritter or Soldic, RoboCop, or any other non-UFC fighters, could they beat Izzy? No. No, especially since I don't think Reinier de Ridder is a true middleweight. He's a 1FC middleweight, and that's just not even... I don't think that's real. That was from Umar Khan. Last question, Yusuf, Cejudo or Yan, who wins? Henry Cejudo. I would love to see that fight. I think it would be fireworks. But I think now that we've seen Yan being controlled, and it wasn't the first time we saw Yan get controlled. In his fights against Magomedov in Bellator. Magomed fights in Bellator now, but it was like ACB. It was some Russian fucking place that they fought. He controlled Yan a lot, and he won their first fight because of it. Cejudo has the wrestling, better wrestling than Magomedov, better wrestling than Aljamain Sterling. I see that fight being a wrestling clinic. So that is the show, guys. I really appreciate you guys joining me today. Like I said, 20,000 subscribers, so close. Help us get there. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like the video, and tell your friends. Got videos coming out. We've got how good is Brian Ortega's grappling. I would eventually like to do a how good is Damian Maia's grappling, because that was in contention for a while. There was a vote on the Discord for who you guys wanted to see more, and it was very close. Brian Ortega won by literally one vote. So I'd like to get to Damian Maia soon, eventually as well. And then we'll probably do a vote for who we want to see next for how good is their striking. So yeah, that's on the table. And new sponsor, guys, Match Bets. Check out Match Bets. Very cool of them to sponsor us. Use the code and the link in the description. You get up to $5,000 matched on all your bets. So 100% match bonus. So check that out. Thank you so much, guys. I loved all your questions, and I hope I get to do another live chat soon. Go watch the fights tonight. They start in a couple hours. They're going to be absolute fireworks, and can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. Okay? Peace out. Love you all. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.